The Vietnam War, a conflict that raged for 2 decades, from 1955 to 1975, left an indelible mark on the 20th century. It was a war born from the ashes of colonialism, a struggle for independence, and a clash of ideologies. Vietnam, a nation yearning for unity, found itself at the heart of a global power struggle, its fate intertwined with the ambitions of superpowers. The seeds of conflict were sown in the aftermath of World War II. France, seeking to reclaim its colonial possessions, found itself pitted against the Vietnamese people, determined to forge their own destiny. The rise of Ho Chi Minh and the Viet Minh, a communist-led nationalist movement, added fuel to the fire. The First Indochina War, from 1946 to 1954, ended in a decisive defeat for France, paving the way for Vietnam's tumultuous future. The Geneva Accords of 1954 temporarily divided Vietnam along the 17th parallel, with the communist North Vietnamese in control of the north and the US-supported South Vietnamese government in the south. This division was intended to be temporary, with national elections planned for 1956 to reunify the country. However, the fragile peace was shattered by mistrust and ideological differences. The United States, fearing the spread of communism in Southeast Asia, stepped in to fill the void left by the French. The stage was set for a conflict that would escalate into a global confrontation, drawing in superpowers and leaving scars that would take generations to heal. The Vietnam War was more than just a regional conflict. It was a proxy war, a battleground where the Cold War superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, waged their ideological struggle. The domino theory, prevalent in US foreign policy at the time, held that the fall of one Southeast Asian nation to communism would inevitably lead to the collapse of its neighbors. Driven by this fear, the United States became increasingly entangled in Vietnam's fate. President Dwight D. Eisenhower, and later Presidents John F. Kennedy and Lyndon B. Johnson, committed American military advisors and eventually combat troops to support South Vietnam. The US involvement escalated gradually, from financial aid and military training to direct military intervention. The Soviet Union and China, on the other side of the Iron Curtain, provided substantial military and economic aid to North Vietnam. They saw the conflict as an opportunity to challenge US global dominance and advance their communist ideology. The flow of Soviet-made weapons and Chinese advisors bolstered North Vietnam's resolve and fueled the flames of war. The involvement of major powers transformed the Vietnam War into a global conflict, with repercussions felt far beyond the battlefields of Southeast Asia. It heightened Cold War tensions, fueled an arms race, and polarized public opinion around the world. The war became a defining issue of the era, shaping domestic politics, foreign policy, and the social fabric of nations. The Vietnam War was fought on multiple fronts, from the dense jungles and rice paddies to the air above. It was a conflict that saw the clash of conventional and unconventional warfare, leaving an indelible mark on military doctrine and the human cost of war. The United States, with its superior firepower and technology, relied heavily on air power and search and destroy missions. B-52 bombers rained down tons of explosives, while helicopters ferried troops into the heart of enemy territory. However, the US military struggled to adapt to the guerrilla tactics employed by the Viet Cong, the communist insurgency fighting in South Vietnam. The Viet Cong, masters of camouflage and deception, waged a relentless guerrilla campaign. They disappeared into the jungle, blending in with the local population, and launched surprise attacks on US and South Vietnamese forces. The Ho Chi Minh Trail, a network of jungle paths and supply routes snaking through Laos and Cambodia, provided a vital lifeline to the North Vietnamese army and the Viet Cong. The war exacted a horrific toll on the civilian population of Vietnam. Millions were killed or injured, and countless others were displaced from their homes, becoming refugees in their own land. Villages were destroyed, crops were ruined, and the social fabric of the country was torn apart. Section 4. A world-divided social and political tremors. The Vietnam War was not only fought on battlefields, but also in the streets and on college campuses around the world. It was a deeply divisive conflict, polarizing public opinion and sparking social and political upheavals. In the United States, the war ignited a firestorm of protest. College students, disillusioned with the war's escalating costs and questioning its morality, organized marches, demonstrations, and teach-ins. The anti-war movement gained momentum with each passing year, fueled by images of carnage on the nightly news and the growing number of American casualties. The war also exposed deep divisions within American society. The draft, which conscripted young men to fight in Vietnam, became a lightning rod for controversy. African Americans, disproportionately represented in combat units, questioned the fairness of a war fought in a distant land while they faced discrimination at home. The Vietnam War had a profound impact on global politics. It eroded trust in governments, fueled anti-imperialist sentiments, and challenged the established world order. The war's legacy continues to shape debates about military intervention, the use of force, and the limits of American power. The Vietnam War had far-reaching economic repercussions. The financial burden of the war effort strained the United States economy. Massive military spending led to budget deficits and contributed to inflation. The war also diverted resources from domestic programs, impacting social services and infrastructure development. As the war dragged on, economic discontent grew, and the public began to question the sustainability of such a costly conflict. Businesses faced challenges as well, with some industries benefiting from wartime production, while others struggled with labor shortages and shifting market demands. The economic impact of the Vietnam War extended beyond the United States, affecting global trade and economic stability. Countries allied with the United States faced pressure to support the war effort, leading to economic strain and political tensions. The war's economic legacy is a reminder of the complex interplay between military conflict and economic stability. The legacy of the Vietnam War in Vietnam and beyond is profound and enduring. In Vietnam, the war left deep scars on the landscape and the people. The extensive use of chemical agents like Agent Orange caused long-term environmental damage and health issues for generations. The war also led to significant loss of life and displacement, with millions of Vietnamese civilians affected. The reunification of Vietnam under communist rule brought its own set of challenges, including rebuilding a war-torn nation and integrating the North and South. Beyond Vietnam, the war had a lasting impact on international relations. It influenced global perceptions of American power and interventionism. The war also left an indelible mark on the veterans who served, many of whom faced physical and psychological challenges upon returning home. The Vietnam War's legacy is a testament to the far-reaching consequences of conflict, shaping the lives of individuals and nations for decades. The enduring significance of the Vietnam War is evident in its continued relevance to contemporary discussions about war and peace. The conflict serves as a cautionary tale about the complexities and costs of military intervention. It highlights the importance of understanding the cultural, political, and historical context of conflict. The Vietnam War also underscores the need for transparency and accountability in government decision-making. For many, the war remains a symbol of resistance and the power of grassroots movements to effect change. The lessons learned from Vietnam continue to inform debates about foreign policy, military strategy, and the ethical implications of war. The Vietnam War's significance endures as a powerful reminder of the human cost of conflict and the ongoing quest for peace and justice in the world.